My boyfriend of 2 years told me he feels ambivalent of our relationship. Am I fighting a losing battle? Hi everyone. Just a bit of backstory, me and my partner have been together for 2.5 years, and he is truly like my best friend and I really think he's the person for me. I love him to bits. Although with every relationship, we have gotten into our fair share of rough patches. He had hurt me very deeply within our first year of dating and I chose to forgive him. He never did anything like that again, but with that it came with a lot of brokenness and baggage which I took out on him. And I do admit in the past year, a lot of our fights were my fault, with me assuming things of him, blowing up at him before clarifying what he meant, etc. We actually just got back together following a breakup in April. When we got back together, we had a long conversation about our expectations in our relationship, and holding each other accountable to what is important to the other. We are in long distance and spent a really lovely 3 weeks together. But in those 3 weeks had gotten into 2 fights, both of which were very similar to the ones we had before. This sobered him up a little, but he still told me that we would just try again and be better next time. I am a work in progress, but I really do feel that I am improving in the way I handle these situations, except for the occasional slip up. My partner has also been through a lot recently, with both his grandparents falling seriously ill that, coupled with the existential crisis of graduating university next year, he has a lot on his plate. Once he left to go home, he had to face the reality of his grandparents falling ill and the reality of going back to school the next week, and that was when I noticed something was off. I could sense that something was up and asked him to think about our relationship because I could feel him pulling back a bit. He told me he had been feeling ambivalent about our relationship because of how much he has going on at the moment, that he feels neither upset or hopeful about this relationship. He then told me that he really wishes for the desire to be able to have hope in me and in us again, but he cannot be certain. But that he will be trying his best to figure out how he feels and that he desires to want to be able to hope in us again. Except in the moment he does not feel that way because of everything that has happened. That he's afraid I'll hurt him again, and so any form of certainty he once used to have in us, he is doubtful. I guess this made me feel extremely unassured, because it really feels like he already has one foot out the door. I'm just afraid that I'm fighting a losing battle. That it's not going to work if he doesn't even want to open up his heart to this relationship. Also, I'm just really confused because when he left me he was feeling really sad about it as well. And we really did have so much fun together. I'm just quite taken aback by how quick things changed. I really do want to be there for him. And he told me that the only way for him to get a better idea of where his head is at regarding our relationship is to have me still be there for him. So he can slowly figure out how he feels. But he also understands if this waiting isn't something I want to do. I'm just in so much internal conflict at the moment. I want to be there for him and be patient and work this out with him. But at the same time I feel really insecure and afraid because he can't give me that certainty, and I end up hurt at the end of this, especially because of how we have broken up in the past. Next story 2. I wants to leave my BF/business partner. My babe and I have a decent relationship. Calm. We don't really argue, and we own a kick-ass business together. We work well together. He pays for all the bills, he's kind, smart, super sexy, loyal, fiscally responsible, dependable and reliable. He has all the qualities of a good man. I feel like though he is a good man, he's not a good BF. The success of our 4-year relationship falls 100% on me. My joy, my excitement, my willingness to compromise. He's never celebrated an anniversary, he's never thrown me a birthday party, or even gotten me a cake. No Valentine's Days. No planned dates ever, never doing what I want to do. I started college and he basically called me an idiot for doing so. Some major body shaming in the beginning. I'm 5 feet 10 inches 165 pounds. I was never interested in marriage, but still I acted happy and excited to be in a relationship with him, and I assumed we could love each other wholly, but he's made it clear many times that marriage is out of the cards, and that the relationship is just whatever to him. Not to say he doesn't love me or care about me, but it's absolutely safe to say I was way more into him than he is into me. I feel like I'm convenient for him. Easy access to sex which isn't even good and a way to curb his loneliness. Y'all get it, he's just not that into me. And it's fine. Like literally I'm so okay with this, and that's why I'm willing to break up with him and move on. I feel like if I don't he would stay with me for like 10 years and still be seeing where this goes. I think of breaking up with him every week. Just due to the fact I'm so bored and over it all. I'm tired of being happy and excited all the time and he just brings the mood down. That's how I know it's gonna happen. Or shit, maybe I could move out and we keep dating. I don't know. My only reserve is the business. I love our work and I love our work ethic. In a perfect world we would break up and remain business partners, but if he dated anyone too soon I would lose my shit. I'm sorry, I just would. So I feel like I have to break contact fully in order to protect my feelings. I can't just let the business go. It's my life. I literally love it so much. Am I supposed to go from being a business owner to an employee elsewhere? Forget that, dude. Sigh. I just wish he super loved me and was stoked about me so I wouldn't have to be dealing with this. Any advice? Thoughts? Next story 3. My partner shut down a discussion and refused to reopen because I raised my voice. I'm honestly not sure if I'm being unreasonable, so I wanted to come on here and get an objective opinion. I will absolutely apologize if I am being stubborn. Tonight my partner and I were chatting when I mentioned something about how my friend is having a terrible time helping her parents find an insurer for their house because companies keep either denying them or no longer insure the state. I basically said that the current insurance system is effed up when they deny coverage because of risk of having to pay out. He disagreed and said it was just good business sense as well as some other stuff. Now, I'm not going to lie. I got upset here and acknowledged that as I'm talking, my voice got louder. Not in a screaming/yelling way, but in a I'm passionate emotive kind of way. I did interrupt with but twice. I think, but both times he said I was interrupting, I immediately stopped. It's an unintentionally thing that I do even in the happiest of conversations. He's well aware it's not a purposeful rude thing. But the second time I interrupted with but, he says, "You're being loud and aggressive." I'll listen, but I'm not going to say anything else. So I tried to calm down and I fixed my tone, and tried to start again. But he just says that he's not contributing to the conversation anymore and refused to say another word, which felt dismissive and like I was wrong for caring, despite the fact that I was making an active effort to be quieter and calmer. Later, he suggested we just don't talk about potentially controversial things anymore. Just to be clear about a few things: 1. He is the first person that has had a problem with the way I talk when discussing something I really care about and there is disagreement. I've had 2 guy friends in the past tell me that I was loud, but other than that none of my other friends or exes have ever had a problem with me or thought that I'm aggressive in the past. 2. He acknowledged that neither my body language nor any of the language I used during the discussion was aggressive, only the loudness. I didn't say anything negative about him or accuse him of anything. I ended up angry and hurt, and now I'm worried whether I'm letting possible resentment cloud my judgment. He's 2 years sober and has CPTSD, and if you've ever lived with a SUD in early recovery or a frequently triggered CPTSD partner, you'll know that it's not always easy. It's gotten better over time, but there have certainly been stretches where I've had to constantly walking on eggshells. And since he started remembering his trauma last year and his CPTSD symptoms emerged, the verbal assaults when he's triggered have been hurtful to say the least. I've adjusted so many things, ways I communicate, and ways I approach conflict to accommodate him/his triggers. I've worked hard to remain calm in 95% of situations and not take things he says personally when he's triggered and yelling at me. I've had to work many of our conflicts out with my therapist since bringing them up is triggering for him. Because he often confuses me expressing my feelings with me blaming him, I've worked to be very thoughtful and academic with my word choices so that what I'm saying comes across properly. I can't even say things like someone's in a good mood today. What's got you in such a good mood? Because it makes him think about all the bad stuff. It's not the first time this scenario has been an issue between us, but I'm struggling to let it go this time. It's never been a secret that I'm opinionated or passionate, particularly around social issues. He's even said my fiery spirit is one of the things he loves about me. I also come from a loud family, where the running joke is when my mom's side of the family gets together, earplugs are required. But most of all, I love the part of me that is passionate about these things. I work in a field that can really leave you feeling disheartened at times, but I use that passion to drive me. I know that my personality might not be everybody's cup of tea and I'm okay with that. But he chose to be with me, and there's just something about this conversation that set me off. I am calm with him 95% of the time, even when he's triggered, yelling at me, and calling me a B*TCH, he's apologized. I'm calm when he's telling me he's having dark thoughts. Even when I'm having severe anxiety, I remain calm on the outside because my anxiety makes his anxious. But one of the few times I don't have absolute control over my emotions, he completely shuts down the discussion because of my volume. It just felt like he was telling me that I'm not worth talking to if I'm not perfectly in control, though fine for him to lose control multiple times a week, and that part of who I am is a problem. And the idea of spending my life with someone without having the tough discussions about things of substance and just pretending the issues don't exist seems awful to me. Am I being unreasonably upset or taking the argument too personally? Am I asking too much for him to extend me just a bit of the grace in conversations that I do to him, particularly because he's working through his CPTSD? Do I need to work more on controlling my tone in this situation?